and sit down in a room and do the test. So there's a couple of options available to us. One option would be the test would be that you are given some code to write or some code to fix. And we have done that in tests before. The other alternative is to give you some questions and you just write answers to it. And we could do that with D2L Lockdown Browser. So yeah, you haven't learned, but say well, that's true. I'm sorry about that. We tried, but yeah, there's not a lot. So and I've also put a question to the other teachers. What um, what are you allowed to use? I mean, if it's going to be computers that you're using in the class, will you be allowed to use W3 Schools and Google, or will we have to disconnect the internet from disconnect you from the network? And so all of those things have been possible in the past in our exams and tests. So I need to make sure that we know what it is going forward. Now, as to whether it'll be on Tuesday or Thursday, when I looked at the email from Amal, she's the lead on this. She said the second lesson next week. So for us, the second lesson would be on Thursday. So that's what I'm thinking. Again, so I'm 99% sure on that. That's what they mean. But yeah, so I think I'm not sure how we would do this, but I think the idea is that we do it during our class time because it's a test. Like exams, we have a scheduled time. But if you think about it here at the college, what are we going to do? How are we going to assess you? We can't. One of the rules of the college is we can't use some other teacher's time, and we can't use some other teachers or some other classes room. So that means that we have to basically do the test in the classroom during our lesson time. And that's a problem also. Oh, you won't believe all the problems surrounding this. The other problem is that I'm not allowed to have more than 15 students in the class when we do the test, but there's 22 students in this class. uh, don't make it on paper. Yeah, we'll see. All right, so that's about the test. So I just wanted to make sure that you're aware that you will be having a test. It's quite possible that they'll be asking you questions on, or we'll be asking you questions on uh, the basics of HTML and CSS, as you would have learned when you worked through those HTML and CSS problems that we had on W3 School. So I would use that as a starting point. And then also, you asked what would the test be on. What we've learned so far in doing our labs. And so that's basically we've learned the basic HTML. You should know you should know where to put things in the head and what to put in the body. You should be able to do a little bit of CSS styling, and you should, for example, the examples that we did in W3 Schools, and you should be able to styling, um, organize a website with folders and using the image tags and your other href tags. So you should be able to do all of that. Oh, tables and lists we have done so far as well. So you should be able to do all of those. And in fact, in today's exercise, lab 2.
Mister, how much is worth, Mister?
The tests, I think there's 2 tests worth like 10 or 15% each. I don't have it off the top of my head, but any question like that we can quickly resolve by going to our D2L and hold on. Yeah, oh, yeah. Okay, so I got D2L in a little window over here. If you go to the content of our class and go to the course outline, in the information here, it tells you what the value of the tests are. It tells you when they are and what's the value, right? So there's our labs tests. 20%. As what I know is there's 2 or 3 tests. I think 2. So that would be 10% of the course marks would be on this test. So it's quite a big deal. It's actually worth working for. Okay, so hopefully that question is behind us. We got that. Do keep an eye on this. Yeah, when I say keep an eye on it, it's not dynamic. It's not changing during the course. That is what it is. That's kind of like a contract between you and me and the college. This is what is going to happen in the course. This is how you're going to be evaluated. So the labs, we got a lot of labs. So individual labs are not worth a lot, but altogether they're worth 10%. We've got some assignments. You've already done one, right? You did a little assignment. They're kind of worth a little bit, kind of more than a lab, I guess. Then we got a couple of tests, and you got a project that will pop up in a few weeks' time, and your final exam. This is the limit at the college. That's a new policy that sort of came out last year or the year before, that we don't have exams worth more than 30%. So that's kind of on the limit, and that's kind of the way we're doing it here. So yeah, back to the exercise that you need to do today. You need to create a folder. So the idea of a folder is that you organize your files. Typically, you're going to put your image files in a separate folder within the main folder for your website. And you might also put some of your HTML files in a separate folder, and you're probably going to put your CSS files in a separate folder. So that's the idea there, is that we use it to organize ourselves. Now, this has still got the old name. Oh, that's because I pulled this up from a previous semester, but yeah, it's the same deal, right? So you're supposed to make this page here. All of this stuff you have. You got the image. It's the same one that you used in the exercise that you just finished. All this data is there. It's just the way that you're going to format it is differently. If you look at this, you can see that that is actually a table. The table, what's happened is we've made the borders not show. All right, so the borders are not visible. But if you look, we do have headings. So that's the thing with tables. You can have headings across the top, or you can have headings down the side. So this particular table has headings down the side. There's another page, so you have to make more than one page. So there's actually quite a bit of work to do here, right? I mean, it doesn't look like much, but there is a bit. The other page, what you're doing, what here is tricky, is that you are sort of collapsing um, two rows together. So these two rows are all about retail shops. And so only one heading for two rows. So how do we do that? We're going to see that in a minute. So, and also this table is different than the previous table because it has the headings are on the top. This one's got the headings down the side. So headings down the side, headings down the top. It's not really very hard. I mean, for each row in your table, you have a TR tag, and that's table row. And then for every heading, you have a TH table heading. So in these ones, you just put a table heading tag in each row. Whereas in this type of table, we have in the first row, we have a bunch of table heading tags, and then every other row is without table heading tags. So that's how we achieve that. And the only other thing there is you got to do some kind of a thing to collapse these together. The actual term that we refer to that is spanning. So we call it row span. There is a command for that, row span CSS command. And so that is what you're supposed to achieve. There's a bit of CSS as well as a little bit of HTML. Anything else? Well, you got headings, heading 1, heading 2, and your image. There's nothing really particularly special about that. All right, so how does this look? Well, here's a solution which is given without using subfolders. So obviously that's okay for this, but I do want to encourage you to use those in the future. The words.txt, that's given to you. If you look back on what I'm actually giving you, you're going to have two files in there. One is the completed file from this represents what you finished in lab 1, and then there's the image. And so you have to create a new HTML file for the contact page, and yeah, and well, your CSS looks like your CSS is going to be inside the inside each individual page, and so that would be achieved by putting style tags in the heads and working with that, because we probably don't want to use inline styling. So let's have a look at that. That's oh, look at that. We even got different colors. So that's kind of nice. that's how that's going to be. Let's look at it in a editor, code and yellow. It does take a little while to launch that. I think I did try and launch it, didn't I? Yeah, I hope so. Here we are. Coming. Slowly but surely. Okay, so yeah, all right. So what do we got going on in here? Oh, this is the finish of lab 1. It says lesson 2 solution, because this is a list. It's not a. Oh no, this is not quite right. Oh, that's because I edited this. Remember? So let's edit this back and fix it again. I remember editing it in the last lesson. So what I need to put here is I need to make that a table. All right, and this has got to be a table. Ending tags, and so this is a the li tags. Maybe instead of doing a lot of work like that, I wonder if I have a find and replace. Yeah, I do. So there's only one list in here, so I'm going to change all the li tags to table row tags, right? So let's see. Yeah, I mean, I'll have to be careful with that, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say any tag. No, not like that. Any tag which is li and ends with a colon is going to be replaced with a table row tag. Sorry, not ends with it ends with a chevron, and that should change all of these to that. So I haven't actually used search and replace on this before, so I don't know how to launch it, but I guess I'm just going to hit enter. Did that work? Nope. How do I launch it? Come on, launch. Do I have to do something else to make it work? All right, so replace. Yeah, replace. Enter. Oh, yeah, it's working, but it works one at a time. So what about this? Replace all. There we go. You have to push a little button. So that's an easier way than going through and typing it all. Hopefully that would work. So if we go in File, Save, and go and look back at that document. Yeah, so now I got a table. You know what? All of my what happened there? So it's not quite what I wanted. Right. It's not what I thought was going to happen. Table row. Oh, table head. Oh, yeah. Okay. So the problem is I'm missing the table header tags here.
CH.
Yeah. So I need to put the table header tags in there. Again, I'm not going to. Oh, well, the problem with this is it gives you the opening and the closing tag at the same time, right? So that's a bit of a problem. This is not as going to be. All right. So I want to copy and paste these in there. Control C, Control V, but you know what it'll do is it's going to put the other one on the end. So then I'm going to have to delete it. So sometimes that's a little annoying, right? Okay. So in each one, put it in and then take that out.
You can replace all TR tags with TR and TH.
Yes, is which I should have done. Very good idea. That would have been better. So, but I'm halfway through. So bear with me that I'm not going to do that now because I'm almost done. But that would have been a better way. So yeah, I mean, if you're thinking while you're doing it, who was that with that good idea? That was a good idea. All right,
Ali.
so Ali, yeah, good idea. So let's save that. All right, I could have just done Control S, and now have a look at that, and hopefully it's better now. Yeah, okay. So I actually have a table. Oh, what do I got here? I got this one here is on a new row. So I got an extra TR. That's what that means. Extra TR. Oh, where are we? Let's go back to that. So one more TR than I should have. Somehow I got that others. Yeah. Is that right? Others? Battery others. Oh.
Last one,
Yeah, it's
last one
correct.
don't have tag th open.
Okay, what about this
Others.
available color? Okay, that's the only thing there is available color gold. I'm just trying to figure out the others is not showing. Table row, table heading, table detail, because we're missing a TD here. Yeah. And we're probably missing one here, right? That opens and it doesn't close. So, I mean, I'm kind of glad I'm doing this. You would probably think, well, Mr. Mark's probably getting frustrated there because of all this, but actually, no. Hopefully, you're not getting frustrated. For me, I'm quite happy to do this because especially for people who haven't done a lot of programming like this before, there's a lot of these missing the table detail in all of these. It's amazing that that worked at all. So again, let's see if I can copy that. And now you're going to tell me to do the replace thing too, but I think I might be able to just put these in there without doing the replace, just putting them in. So there's not a lot of detail in those rows, but okay, so Control S and have a look again. Drag that out of the way. Available color gold. I still got that on another row. Somehow I missed something. As I said, this is kind of good exercise because you will see. Okay. Oh, because I missed the table heading here. That would do it. How did I do that? So because we put it in all those others, and then. All right. So I think that's all. Though I'm looking at it, typically you're going to have more time to sort of work on these. But yeah, I hope that you get the idea. Okay, I got to save that. Control S will save it. There we go. So now it's it's not quite right. What we could do is we could style the borders so that there was no color, I guess. So let's have a look at the how that border is done. So that would be, are we doing a border collapse? So we've made the border 1px solid. We could just take that out, I think. Let's see. Yeah, we'll try. Or, yeah, I'm going to take that out. Yeah, 0px. I should have just done 0px. And it doesn't matter how we do it then. Let's see then. Control S. Doing all this stuff on the fly. It's not really great, but never mind. So I did save that, right? Yeah, okay, so I still have it for the heading, so that's working. The only thing that I need to do to fix that now is I need to not just the detail, but also the heading. So I could do it here, 0px, and Control S, and then yeah, there we go. So now it's kind of how you were supposed to do it. I think there may be some other issues remaining, but that's kind of what it is. And so sorry we had to sort of edit it a bit, but you're going to have to do that. All right, so let's have a look at what's happening here. Most of this is actually CSS. We do have a table tags instead of list tags, which you will have seen in the last 10 minutes, sort of painfully reconstructed. You do have your H1 and your H2, kind of the same as you did in your in your lab 1. Then you got a bunch of CSS, which is going to bring the thing to you. All right. So remember the border collapse. That kind of helps us so that we don't have borders with 2 lines in them. There's some other stuff there, and I'm not sure if this actually meets the exact specifications of the assignment. You'd have to sort of have a look. I think it might, but well, actually, if you look at this, that's a different type of font. If we were supposed to do it like that, because that's a serif font, and what we did was a sans serif font. So I mean, if you're going to do it exactly, you'd change this to a serif font from a sans serif font. And that would be more like I actually like the sans serif. Serif, I don't really like it much. So I mean, if you left it as a serif font, that would be fine. This is serif. That's kind of looking a bit more like the other. The other thing is that the J7 in this thing isn't red, it's black, and also the Samsung is different. But as long as you know what those are and how to do those are fine. I think that that actually the way that this is presented here is it's more attractive. I think now where have I got that? Is it here? Yeah, I think this is actually more attractive than the one here. And I do like the sans serif. And the 7, the color is fine, but notice the H2 is styled differently as well. But as long as you sort of know where that styling is occurring, you can sort of see this. So the H2, we've done a font size small. That's not in the specification. You can change it if you want, or you can leave it. That's fine. H1, the color we've made red, and you don't have to do that. So you don't have to make it just like I've made it there, but as long as you know. But you do have to have a table, and you do have to have the heading out there. Now that's, come on. Yeah, there we go. You need to create this other page called the Contact Us page. All right. And this one, I'm not going to sort of go through that with you, I don't think. Should I? I don't know. Why not? We can have a quick look at it. Just a little peek. So looks like this. Oh, well, this is actually more like the solution to lab 3 because we've done all this styling with the headings and stuff. So it looks like this, but without the styling. But what you can see, what's important for today's exercise is, can you see the row span? What I mean by the row span there is we've got these 2 rows with only one heading. And so probably it's worthwhile having a look at that. Let's have a look at that and see. So don't pay too much attention to the CSS here. Most of that's not required for this, but the row span is required, and you can see that here. So what we're going to do is you're going to create a new table. That's for this table here that you can see us, the call us table. And notice that the headings this time are across the top, not across the top, not across the side. Now, there's something else going on there that is, don't worry about these classes. I don't think that if you look at the specification document, I don't think you need to do that. Yeah, because you can see it's all kind of the same. The classes are used so that you can fix the width of the 2 phone number what do you columns. So the columns, we have a fixed width on those columns, and we use class for that so that they are going to be a different width than the service columns. And I don't think that's coming up in this exercise. So I think my apologies. I think I actually have the answer to like lab 3 or something, but let's go back and look at that. Don't worry about those. We'll talk about that later, but what you do need to worry about is the row span. So the row span 2, what that means is for this entire row, what we've got is that 2 rows are going to be put together. All right, in the first column, right? In the first column, before before retail shops, you see it's all part of this TD tag. If I can just, inside this TD tag, which is the first column, we put a row span command. All right, inside. Do you see how it's inside the TD tag itself? And then that TD tag is ended there. So what that means is retail shops is going to span 2 columns. All right, and now it's not finished there. Actually, do you see that to make this work, we have to also do something to the next row. The next row is different than the previous rows because it's missing the first column, because you had to say, all right, so this column this value is going to go in 2 rows. So it's we started in this row, but it's going to pass on to this row because if it so look at this, how many TDs in the next row? Next row has only got 2 TDs, whereas this one's got 1, 2, 3 TDs, because in this next row following, we the first TD is spanning 2 rows. Now, if you go to the last row, you'll see that we go back to the original pattern, which is the first column shipping, which is sort of analogous to service or phone problems. And so that's why it looks like this. So we see the 2 rows together there. So that's the main sort of challenge for that exercise. All right, what else you got there? Not much. That's kind of it. So I mean, if you can make something like that, emphasis. Oh, you got an emphasis. Yeah. All right. So let's see how that's achieved there. The emphasis is going to be here on the toll-free number. So kind of that's all you need to do on that is you're putting the emphasis, and notice that the emphasis does a what do you call that? Italics. Okay, so what you need to focus on is these things. So this one here, the trick was to put a table heading in every row. And there's not much else going on there if to do it the way it is. Oh, and we made the borders 0 picks. And then and we had to do that for both the table heading and the table detail. And the last one, the trick was to do the row span and to get the emphasis. So that's it. Any questions on that? That's because that's what I want you